let's go over some basic business stuff. Let's go over some things that you're going to need to know just as you're starting out, right? Just so we can get some of these understandings taken care of. A, never put anything on your personal name, right? When you're doing contracts, everything needs to be under your LLC, everything. The only exception I'm going to make to this is maybe if you're bird dogging with somebody, maybe you found a deal and you're going to bring it to somebody and they're going to pay you for bringing that deal in. Well, it's going to go into their LLC. But as far as facing a consumer, as far as facing a seller, never put your own personal name on your contract. Even when you're signing the contract, you're not signing it with your name. You're signing it with your name, comma, member, right? Which means that you're signing on behalf of this LLC. You could even get in trouble if you have I Buy Real Estate LLC and you put the buyer's name as I Buy Real Estate LLC, and you go through all the contract, and then at the end you sign your own personal name. It's possible that they can break through your veil just by the fact that you put your own name and you didn't put member on it, right? So you want to be protected. It's very important to be protected in this business. Now, one very key element to your LLC is keeping your funds separated. And now watch my LLC creation video, because I'm going to go through a whole smorgasbord of how to name your LLC, what kind of things are going to be good to consider as you're creating this name for your email and for your saying the name over the phone and that kind of stuff, where to find your names, where to find how to file with your state, all that kind of stuff. We'll go over that in the LLC creation video. But one of the big points that I want to hit with you right now is when you create your LLC, you have to keep those funds for the business, right? Because what you can't do is you can't go buy a 6-pack of beer for yourself because, hey, I've got $600 in the LLC fund and I'm down, I need to get paid next week, I'm just going to go buy it out. Because what that's called is commingling funds, and that can break your corporate veil. It's called piercing the corporate veil. That allows people to get through the protections that the LLC is supposed to give you and get directly to you and your assets. So you want to avoid doing that. But watch the LLC video, like I said, and we'll go into more details on that one. There you go. You need to create your LLC. Watch the LLC and business startup videos. This is a big one. A big basic understanding that I want you to understand is you are an investor. You're an investor in single-family real estate. You're not a wholesaler. You're not a fix and flipper. You're not a landlord. You're not an owner financer. You are an investor, okay? And I think that is a very important way to look at doing this business, because I think a lot of people come into this business, and for those of you who have read Good to Great, they've got your hedgehog principle, and they put their blinders on and they say, look, I'm a fix and flipper and I'm going to get really good at that. And that's admirable. I do admire, you want to get good at one strategy, that's cool. But the people who are saying I'm a wholesaler are turning away deals left, right, and center. I without exaggeration, over 80% of the deals that I close are referrals from other people like yourself. They're referrals from people that are wholesalers. And they don't know how to handle this one deal that comes across where somebody owes 90% of what it's worth, right? Or they're a fix and flipper, or they're this, or they're that. And they're not looking at the entire broad spectrum of available strategies in owner financing. And what I encourage you to do, and why this video series is so important, to go through the whole series and learn the ins and outs of real estate investing, is that I always say you got to have a bat belt. You got to have a bat belt with a bunch of different tools for each scenario, for each situation. Because when I'm sitting in front of a seller, when I take that seat, I know that I can do one of 20 million things. And as they tell me what their situation is, I'm okay, well, I can't do this one, can't do this one, can't do this one, can't do this one, until we're left with an offer that is specific to their needs and allows me to buy the house with what they need to see, and allows me to make the decision. If I've got multiple abilities, maybe I could owner finance it, maybe I could fix and flip it. Well, now I get to make the decision which one's going to make the most money and which one makes the most sense for right now. Do I need cash right now for another project I'm doing, or can I make this one sit as a long-term strategy for myself, right? So you get to make the decision as what the best financial gain is going to be, and you get to provide a custom-made offer to your seller. And guys, this is why my contracting rate is so high. I mean, I've got a huge conversion rate from when I sit down on a appointment with a seller. I convert over 75% of every contract or every deal that I go on, every house that I go look at, I contract it, because I'm able to negotiate and I'm able to understand what the needs are of that person, and I'm not stuck looking at one strategy. If you're a hammer, the whole world looks like a nail, and we don't want to be a hammer. We want to be a tool belt, okay? So very important that you continue to watch the series and look at the ins and outs of all your different options. As we're going through this series, we're going to be throwing out a lot of acronyms. Okay, acronyms are just going to be part of your life now that you're being an investor. Just welcome to it, get used to it. Let's talk about what some of those acronyms are. Well, the first one that you're going to hear a lot is ARV, which stands for after repair value. Okay, so one of the signs that I love seeing on the side of the road is, selling houses at 50% of what it's worth. Well, it's not worth anything more than you're selling it for. Worth means, what will somebody buy this for right now, right? ARV is a much better way of looking at things, because what it is that you've got to look at the comps and you've got to say, once I fix this property up, then it's going to be worth $100,000. But right now, I need to figure out what I can buy it for, right? So conventional wisdom, and we'll go into this later, conventional wisdom says buy houses at 70-75% of their ARV. And when I talk about that, I talk about your rehab and your acquisition fits into that number. So you find your ARV would be $100,000. That means your total basis, which I'll get into here in a second, is going to be $75,000. You back out your repairs, and what you're left with is what you can pay for the house, right? Everything is based on that ARV. Everything is based off of comps. LTV is loan to value. Run into this one a lot too. Now value, again, what is it currently valued at? So if we've got that house whose ARV was 100, and we fix it up, and we've spent $75,000 in both acquiring it and fixing it up, well, we would have a 75% LTV. Our loan that we took from our hard money lender or from our private lender or whoever, that would be 75% of its current value. So that is 75% LTV. Basis. Basis is a big one because you can use it for a couple of different terms. You can say, what's the cash basis? What's your total basis? But basis essentially means, what do you have in the deal? Okay? So if you're looking at, let's say, an owner-financed deal, and you're taking over on payments, right? You're doing a subject to acquisition, and you take over on payments, and they owe $75,000 to the bank, right? So you take over on that $75,000. But you have to put $5,000 worth of repairs in, and you have to put $5,000 down to catch the loan up because they're behind on payments. Well, okay. I'm going to be very basic here. Watch our subject to videos, because I'm also going to explain to you how it's not just as simple of math as I'm throwing out to you right now. But for where we are right now, this is going to be how I explain to it. So we've got $75,000 we're taking over. We put 5 in to catch up the payments. We put 5 in on rehab. That's an extra 10. So now our total basis is basically $85,000. But our cash basis is only 10. You've only put 10,000 of your actual cash in on the deal. So that might be something that's important to you as you're analyzing this deal. Well, you might analyze an offer that comes in and look at it and say, gosh, I don't know if this is going to work for me. I've got a cash basis on this thing at 10,000 bucks. I already put 10 grand in, so I need to get 10 grand out, right? Or you may need to know what your total basis is, because you can't sell it for $80,000 if you got a total basis of 85 in there, right? It might be easy to say, well, I sell it for $80,000. I only owe $75,000. I'm great. But your total basis was 85, so you're not really doing yourself any favor there. So basis is another one that can be difficult to understand, but that's something you need to get into. Cents, percent, cents on the dollar, so your basis versus your ARV. There's going to be a lot of times when you hear deals get thrown around, they're going to say, man, I bought this deal at 75 cents. It means they bought it at 75% of the ARV. If you're, like I mentioned earlier, your conventional wisdom says buy at 70 to 75%. That's all I'm going to say, 70, 75%. The implication is it's 70 to 75% of the ARV, and that 70 or 75% includes the money you're paying the seller, and it includes the money that you're putting towards rehab. It does not include like closing costs and holding costs, that kind of stuff. One of the reasons why we have a lower basis number, one of the reasons why we go for that 70 or 75% is because that discount that we're taking is there to absorb things like holding costs, that kind of deal. Now, it's always a good idea when you're running your numbers and you're trying to figure out what your actual profits are going to be Yes, of course, include your holding costs. Of course, include the closing costs, that kind of stuff. But when you're buying the property and you're analyzing it, we're just going to go off of, hey, I'm willing to pay 75 cents for this deal. Okay?
Appreciate you checking out that clip. If you want to see hundreds of hours of content just like that, covering topics like subject to, wholesaling, pre-foreclosure, the ins and outs of all of the different aspects that you need as a real estate investor to perform in this business, the information that you need to take your business to the next level, check out Propelio.com's Academy, content that is available absolutely at no cost to you, step by step, no upsells, true content that'll help you perform in this business.